Thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. Today I want to work in my art journal, so I thought I would just do an art journal with me video so you guys can play along and maybe do what I'm doing in my journal in your journal. So let's get started and have some fun. One of the things I love to do is to take bodies from magazines, like that body there is from a magazine, and then create my own faces to go on the bodies. So those bodies all came from magazines, but the faces are faces that I created. And it makes just a fun art journal page. Here's another example of that. So these bodies came from a magazine, and then the faces were something that I drew and did paper piecing hair. So I thought you'd like to learn how to do paper piecing hair and create your own faces using a magazine body. So let's get started and I'll show you how I do it. The first thing you're going to need are some bodies from magazine images. Here's a cool one where she's got kind of a skirt that's made out of a quilt with ivy all over it. That would be a really fun one. This one came from Art Doll Quarterly, and it is a doll riding on a snail, but I could put my own head on that and that would be super cute. I love that. This is cute. This is kind of a Marie Antoinette kind of a look, and I'd like to stop at the neck and put my own head and hair on that, but use that cool birdcage body. This one's kind of cool with the bell-bottom pants, something like that. You could even leave the car with the flowers. That's super fun. And instead of the Michael Kors collection, you could put a saying over that. So this would be a really cool background page. Here's a cute one with a girl doing in kind of a sitting yoga pose, twisting her hair. This is a cute one. She's got a lot of movement. I like the arms out. Would be super cute to do your own face on. Here's a couple of others that I found. I love this. Cool isn't homogenized, and she's sitting on a bar stool drinking her milk, and then I could put my own face on it and use that cute saying, cool isn't homogenized. I love that. So that's a cute one. This is a fun one with a great big flower, and there's a girl sitting in the flower, so that would be super fun to put my own face on. So just go through your magazines, your fashion magazines, and look for bodies that are really doing fun things, like look at her cute polka dot stockings. She's sitting on a car. That would be a great one to add a face to. So look for bodies that are cool and quirky already that would be cute to add a face to. And then you're just going to want to fussy cut out the body and leave the neck on, and just cut it out and not leave the head on. Or you can leave the head on and just cover it up once you make your own head. So that's the next step. I'm going to pick out what I want to do on my page and pick out which bodies I'm going to use, and then I'll show you how to make the cool heads with paper pieced hair. So I have my two images cut out, and I usually leave just a skinny little part like that for the neck where I can place the other head and it'll still show the neck. And on this one I went ahead and I cut this little slit right here in the sleeve because I'm going to cover up this arm, and what I'm going to use is one of the movable arms from my Justine Paper Doll Adventures kits from the base kit. I want a movable arm on this doll. So what I'm going to do is put a brad through that arm, and I'm going to tuck this up underneath that sleeve and glue it into place so that she's going to have a movable arm. Since this one is drinking milk, I'm going to have this one holding milk, either an old-fashioned antique milk can or a bottle of milk, the old-fashioned type of bottles of milk. So I think that'll be cool that they both have milk. And then I'm going to use that saying, cool isn't homogenized. And I'm starting a new Ranger's Delusions journal because I just did a flip through of the one that I finished. So this is a large size Ranger Delusions journal. That's what I'm going to do my pages in. And this is the piece that comes on it when you get a new one. This is on the front cover like that, and I think I'm going to use this as a strip and put the words from this into this because it's already such a cute thing with a nice border around it. and it's just kind of wild and funky, so that would be kind of neat going down the page with the saying in it. So I'm going to incorporate the label off of my new journal. Now I'm laying out where everything's going to go. I think I'm going to put the bigger one over here. I may even add some cute ballerina feet to her, possibly. I'm going to play around with that and see. This one that's on a chair is going to be right up against the side and the bottom, and then overlapping this a little bit, and this is what I'm going to use for my piece that has the journaling in it. So what I think I'm going to do for my background is kind of copy this. Use these colors that are in here to create kind of a block background, and then I can put some patterns in that sort of look like that to carry that interesting color pattern that's on this label off into my background. So I'll put my images aside for now, and I'm going to work on the background. So what I did was went to my acrylic paints, and I pulled some paints that go with these. So I've got yellow, orange, and some magenta, and then a green, the yellow, and blue, and then over here these two colors that kind of go with that box. So they're different brands, it doesn't matter, it's all acrylic paint, and this is just a fun exercise and a way to play. So what I'm going to do first, I think, is to I think I'm going to put this down onto the page. I'm going to use some matte gel medium and put this in place, and then I can paint kind of up to and over those edges. Okay, so this is all glued into place, and now I'm going to just flip this page over and trim that off. And this is the piece that was that came off the end of this, because it was like a belly band that slid on, and this is really cool too. So I think I'm going to cut this into some squares and incorporate that into the background as well. I love upcycling things that are destined for the garbage, because it just, you always find some super neat stuff, and using this label off the journal is just going to be super cute when I finish. So here's the squares, and I'm going to just put those down, and I was just checking to see over here how that would look with this girl, and I like it. I like it a lot. I may put it, I think I'm going to put it possibly down further like that. And do paint up here, because her head's going to be here. That's going to cover a lot of that section. So I'm going to glue those into place and then start adding my paint. So I like to add my paint with a sponge or a baby wipe or both. I might use both. And I know you've seen this in some of my other videos, so I'm not going to go too into detail here. But what I'm going to do is just, I've dampened my sponge a little, and I'm going to just blob on the paint, sponge it on up to this part on that little piece of paper and over onto this. And then I'm going to add some orange, and I'm just going to kind of duplicate that, and same thing up here, just a little bit of yellow, a little blue, a little green, a little pink here, a little orange here, and just blend them into these pieces and just create a fun color blocked background. And I'll come back and show you what it looks like when I'm done. So look how super cool that's coming out. I love it. And now I'm just taking a Tim Holtz stencil, the one with the little polka dots, and I'm kind of matching up that. And I always like to add, when I put something somewhere, I like to add it somewhere else just to tie them in. So if there's something there, I'm going to make it the same over there. It's just something I like to do. It's kind of the rule of threes, but I also just think it gives it a little bit of interest. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that for now. I just did a little bit of stenciling in green and a little bit of stenciling in white gesso, white smooth gesso, to do some white over it. And I've never been big on going wild and crazy on my backgrounds, and a lot of people do a lot of crazy stuff, and it looks beautiful. And because I'm doing some big focals, I don't want it to be too busy, and I can come back in and do some pen work and journaling, like this little neat thing that I'm going to use from the packaging, so I can add that later when I'm done. So the next step for me is going to be to add these focals onto the page where I want them to go. And I'm just going to use matte gel medium and a brush. And I've shown this a lot before, but I'll show again in case you're new to the channel. I like to use TriArt matte gel medium. There's a lot of good brands out there, and you can use whatever brand you like. You can use Mod Podge. The best way to add a magazine image is to put a thin layer of your matte gel medium on the back of the magazine image. So try to get it as even as possible. This is to keep from getting wrinkles in your page. And you know, magazines, sometimes you still get wrinkles, but all you gotta do is just do your best. And then I put matte gel medium in on the page as well, in a nice thin coat. And the two will stick together and it'll give it a really nice flat image on the page. And I'm going to make sure I have enough room for the head, so I'm going to go a little bit down on the page with this design. And she does kind of cover up some of my fancy paper, but that's okay. And then I go over the top to smooth it out, and I push down really well so that it gets nice and stuck onto the page and nice and flat. And I don't usually have trouble with it wrinkling. The most of the time is when it's a really thin magazine image. Those are a little bit tricky. And then for this arm piece, I need to glue this into place, so I better put these together first before I go any further. Okay, I went around the edges with a brush pen to get rid of the white lines. I put a hole with my paper piercer and put a little mini brad in it. And now I'm just going to take some art glitter glue, and I'm going to put some glue back here and glue this arm into place where I want it. Okay, and then I can come back in with my matte gel medium and brush that sleeve down. Okay, now I've got a movable arm on my image. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and then put this image over here down the same way. So my images are down, and now we're ready to move on to the faces. So this is my tip for doing the faces. I like to play around with proportions, and they don't have to be like the size of head that would fit on this size of body, you know, the normal size heads. I like the heads to be bigger, bodies to be smaller, or bodies bigger, heads smaller. Play around with your proportions. The first person I saw that did that was Tisha Moore. A lot of people do that, and in creating characters, you want them to be quirky, so I think a little bit bigger head on the body looks better, so I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. So what I want to do is just kind of figure out about how big I want that head to be. It's going to be about this big, so I'm just going to mark on a piece of cardstock, just generally, that is my finished size that I'm going to want that head to be. You know, you can put this down and make your little marks, and then same with over here. Make your marks how big you're going to want your head to be, and I don't want it any bigger than up here, so about that size, so about that big and about this big. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do some faces. So I'm going to put my book aside, and I'm doing this on heavy cardstock. You can do it on watercolor paper, mixed media paper, cardstock, whatever you want, and it also depends on what kind of art supplies you're going to use to color your faces. So if you're going to use watercolor paints, you obviously want some watercolor paper, because watercolor paints don't work well on cardstock. But for what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to just use this cardstock, and it'll work just fine. Faces is one of my favorite things, so I wouldn't have any problems coming in and making this into a quick oval or whatever face shape I want. But if you're new to drawing faces, you might want to use something like this. These circle templates work pretty great for doing a face, so I'm going to go ahead and show that. So what you want to do is you want to find a circle that isn't as long as, that's shorter than your face that you're making by probably about a quarter. And the reason for that is you want to make the chin. So if you take this circle and you pencil that circle first, And I'm doing it kind of dark so you guys can see. Hopefully my eraser will erase. And I know that I want the chin to come down to that bottom line. So now what you would do is you would just come alongside this circle and you're just going to add a straight line down and then start to curve it until you get to that chin. And you want to come in a bit because you don't want your chin to be too wide, but there's all different face shapes. People have wide chins, skinny chins, cleft chins. So just do whatever looks best to you. And that part is really not so terribly important right now. But this will give you a nice face shape to start with. So now you've got a face shape. So the next thing you're going to do, you're going to draw a simple line down the middle. A simple line splitting this whole thing about in half. A little line that's going to cut this section in half. A line that'll cut this section in half. Just like that. Okay? Now you can come in and draw your eyes. And if you have trouble making eyes and making them equal, again, use your circles. They have a little line that'll line up perfectly with your line, your horizontal line here. So find how big you want to make your eyes. They can be big, small, wide, close together, far apart, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Eye shapes are kind of just something to play around with. But just line up that little line and make a circle. And then you want to come over here and you want to do the same thing. So you're going to line up that line and you're going to make a circle. So for starting at my face, I've got a pretty good base to start with. So now that you have that basic circle shape, what you want to do is just make a little point here, a little point here, right to your line. For the little tear ducts, see? And a little point out here, so this is giving your eye some shape. And you're using those little lines as guides, so look how easy that is. Now you can do your iris of your eye, that's the colored part, and you want to find a circle that is smaller than the white of the eye. And you can erase that little circle edge on the back corner. I'd keep this part in because it's the little tear duct, but erase that outer part like that. And now find a circle that you can use that's smaller than what you just used. That'll be a good size for the iris. And let me just put it in here and show you, and then you'll see what I mean. Oops. I know that looks really wonky, but look how even they are. So that's pretty cool. Now what you want to do is take your pencil and go make a line across. This is for the eyelid. And you kind of go over the top part of that iris, like that. I mean, look at how quick and easy we're drawing a face. If you've never drawn one before, this just is the most simple method. So you've got your eyelids, you've got your little iris, and then the middle part, the little pupil, you can use this circle if you want to. In fact, I suggest it because it makes it even again. The iris is exactly in the middle. I mean, the pupil is in the middle of the iris. So when you line it up, you want to try and get it as centered in that little circle as you can. Like that. So that's what you do for the eyes. And then you come up here and you're going to make an eyebrow. And eyebrows can be any shape. They can be straighter. For expression, one up, one down. Do whatever you want. Get some eyebrows in there. I did one up and one down kind of. And then for your nose, do a little half down like that for your nose. For your mouth, I'm going to do that. And then right on this line, you do like an upside down little U for that little Cupid's bow in the lips. And now you've got some cute little lips. You want to make a little connection from under the nose down to the Cupid's bow, like that. Then you're going to put in just a tiny little hint of the nostrils. They don't have to be wild and crazy. And you're going to come across here and put a little semicolon on the sides, and you've got a cute little nose. You can make that top part rounded and make it look a little rounded on the tip for some personality. And you decide which side you want in shadow, and whichever side that is, which I'm going to make the one on the left, you make a line from the eyebrow kind of down to the tip of the nose like that. So look at how fast I made that cute little character face. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now I'm going to go back in with a Tombow Mono drawing pen. I like these because they don't bleed if you put other wet products over the top. And I'm going to ink this in. So I'm just going to come back over and leave out those lines that you don't want. The ones that need to be erased, and it's easier to erase them after. And you've got these nice perfect little shape for your irises. You've got your eye shape, your pupils. My dog is throwing a fit, if you can hear. They're actually playing. They're playing with their toys. Okay. Make a little line like that inside. And then I like to come back in here and just do a little bit of pen work under the nose, around the edge real lightly. I'm not going to do that circle, I don't think. I think I'm going to do that in color. Okay, so there's my face, and now I'm going to color it, and I think I'm going to use a base of maybe alcohol markers and then colored pencil over it. So I'll show you how I do that. So what you want to do is, after your ink dries, you want to erase all those lines. Oh shoot. Be sure that you ink that whole outside of that face. I didn't. Oh, that's funny. And my hand is shaky because to be on camera, I have it at a weird angle. That's okay. It'll look fine. Okay, so now, now that I have that drawn in, I'm going to erase all my lines. So anything that's pencil, except maybe that circle on the nose, I think I'm going to just leave that on there. I'm going to erase. Okay. And I forgot to add ears. So ears come from the top of the eyelid to the bottom of the nose. So that's where your ears should be. And you can mess around with those proportions too, because some people have big ears, some people have small ears, some might have some crooked ears. If you're doing an elf, you would do elf ears. So that's just a rule of thumb if you're trying to make a kind of sort of proportionate face, that you would go from the top of the eyelid for the top of the ear to the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the ear. And I just penciled in some quick, easy ears. Nothing special because they might get covered up with the hair that I create when I do paper piecing hair. But you still want ears, so I'm gonna throw them on there, and if they get covered, they get covered. If they show that then they're on there. So just like that. And I know right now she kind of looks a little homely, but that's all right. She'll be cute when she gets some color. Okay, and I grabbed some markers. These are by Art and Fly. Art and Fly markers, they're alcohol markers, so they're like, they are like Prisma Premier brush pens, or Copics. You could use any kind of marker, but you don't even have to do marker. You can use this in paint, watercolor, anything you want. I'm just going to throw on a quick layer of alcohol marker as just a base to start with, because I like to do a lot of my coloring and shading with colored pencils. So I like to use this as a base and then colored pencil over it for a face, but you can do anything you want. They look great watercolor painted. These work, you could do this with a Tombow Dual brush pen. You can do this with anything. Okay, and so this base is just what it is. It's a base. And then I like to take a color that's a little bit darker, and I'm going to go on the dark side and start shading the dark side, going over to the dark side. A little Cupid's bow area under the chin, a little tiny bit on the corner of this eye, and in the crease of the eyelid, in the inner part of the ears. You're just building up the values. I'm going to shadow out that side of the head. And this is just my way of doing it, and lots of people have lots of ways, so do whatever you find is the best and easiest way for you. So her face is starting to take shape even with just that first little layer. And then I'm going to do some blue for her eyes. And I'll show you my little eye tricks that really make the eyes stand out. And the mouth trick, I'm going to use pink. And I go darker and heavier, 2 coats on the top, one light brush coat, really light-handed on the bottom, so that you can get a little bit of a shadow. But I'm going to do that with colored pencil too. Put a little pink in the corner of her eyes, like that. She's starting to come to life. And then you can start to add in too, I haven't done colored pencil yet, but you can start adding in things like the eyelashes. So I like to go back in, and I like to make that line on the upper eyelid a little heavier. Kind of like she has a little bit of eyeliner. Make it a little heavier, make it a little heavier going around the corner. Just a little. Like that. And some eyelashes. And you can always add more. Always add more later. And you're going to want to color her eyebrows whatever color you do her hair. So for now that's good. I'm going to add some colored pencil to this. So I'm going back in with colored pencil, and I am adding a little more color to those lips, leaving a highlight on the top and on the bottom. I'm adding some shading to her face. Just really light-handed, come in with colored pencils and let the pencil do the work for you. Don't push hard at all with your colored pencils, but just start to get in some shading on your face. And for the sake of the video, I don't want it to be too terribly long. I'm not going to show you all of it, but you know, you can come back in too, and I'm using Faber-Castell Polychromos in case somebody asks what kind of pencils they are. I love colored pencils and I use lots of different brands. I just grabbed these. So I like to go in that little eye crease. This is a purple, but it makes a nice shadow in that little eye crease to make the eye look more round. You know, because our eyes are set in and you've got that crease, so enhance that crease a little bit. Go maybe around the eyes a little bit in a color. Doesn't have to be purple, but just showing you some little tips and tricks with blue and blue eyes. I come in and add more color at the top where it'd be kind of shadowed under the eyelid. Let me zoom in a little closer, I'm sorry. There. So I'm adding in more color at the top of the eye and kind of carefully blend it out. That makes that shadow look from the eyelids. See how she's really starting to look cuter? And you can add another color to the eyes, so you can come in with a little bit of a, maybe a light green, like a chartreuse, and just very lightly add a hint of another color. I don't want it to be too crazy, but that's cute to give it a little life to it. So I can keep going. I can keep doing shading. It needs some more work, but I don't want to do too much on camera because I don't want the video to be too long. But I do go back in with a Posca pen, a white Posca pen, and I add in a dot kind of off center to add in a little glint in the eyes. So I think she's starting to look cute, and it's good enough for now, and I can do more later, but I'm going to go ahead now and show you how to do the paper pieced hair. So you want to cut out your face, and then we'll move on to the hair. So here's my cute head, and when I put it on the body, I can put it straight, I can tip it, which I think I'm going to do, and she's going to go right there. I love it. Super cute, kind of fun. I'm going to do more to her, but I want to show you the hair. So then I'm going to take a pen and I'm going to go around those edges before I glue her into place, because I can't stand white edges, as you guys know from watching me. I just hate white edges. So get rid of that. I'm going to use a piece of tracing paper, and you want to use a pencil. So most of the time when people are just starting out doing faces, the first mistake that they make is that they do the hair right at the very top of the head. And technically, hair is above. Hair would be above by about this much on a person. Hair doesn't sit perfectly flat on the top of your head. It's full and it's fluffy. So you want to go up about that far up from the head for your hairstyle. And that is the biggest tip I can give you. Trust me, it will change your artwork. So you want to put your tracing paper or whatever you have over the top that you can see through, and this is where you can start designing a hairstyle. So let's say she's going to have a little side part right here. Let's draw a little side part and a little swoopy bang that goes over her eyebrow and maybe tucks behind her ear. And here's where her hair is on top, so make it a little poofy, come around, do a little side bang over here, come around. Decide what hairstyle you want. You might want braids, you might want ponytails, whatever you want. I think I'm going to do a little updo like this, like a little choppy bob at the bottom. So I'm just drawing some little choppy edges like that at the bottom. See if you can see that. See? Like that. So you've got that. You can put it back into place. Find the top of her ear where it lines up. And then I'm going to come across like this and like this to draw this section. Like that. Okay, so here is my hairstyle that's going to end up being 3 pieces of paper. And you're going to create the hairstyle and put it on her head before you glue the head onto the body, and I'll show you why. Okay, so for the first thing you're going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut out these shapes. In fact, I'm going to use an X-Acto knife, I think, for the inner pieces. It'll be easier. And I'm just going to cut these pieces out, and don't get too hung up on them being so perfect. It's paper. If it's too big, you can trim it. If it's too small, you can add another piece of paper behind it. It's not super rocket science. So just cut your pieces out. If it tears, don't cry. And this isn't as hard as it looks. It's really easy and it's super fun, and it looks so cute on your art journal page. So trust me, you'll have a ball doing this. Okay, so I'm cutting out those pieces that I created as kind of like that side bang. Like that. And then the outside piece I'm going to cut out as one singular piece. So I'm going to just go ahead and trim that out. Now you're going to use your little pieces that you cut out as templates to draw your pieces of hair. And I'm going to use 3 different colors of brown cardstock for mine. So I think I want her bangs to be in the lighter color. So I'm just going to put these down on the paper, draw them out, and cut them out. Really, like I said, not hard at all. This is easy peasy stuff. But it makes really cute hair. And you can do anything, ponytails or space buns or anything really cute. Just create a hairstyle. Now I'm going to go a darker color in this. So I'm going to just do the outside edge. And it's just a simple guide, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It's hair. And I'm going to cut 2 of these. I'm going to do one in this color of brown and one in this really dark brown. And it doesn't matter that this dark brown is patterned, got a pattern in it. It doesn't matter. Probably will even look cute to have a pattern, because I'm going to go back in and draw some lines and things and make the hair more realistic. Okay, so I have the bottom piece in 2 colors, a lighter and a darker, and this one in this light one, and now I'm going to cut those 3 pieces out. Okay, now it's time to glue your little pieces into place. So I am going to, I like to take the dark one and put it behind this lighter one, and I kind of stagger it. So if you did that, see how that looks one-dimensional. If you do 2 colors and a little darker underneath and you stagger them, she ends up looking like it's real hair because it's got some shadow cast to it. So you can kind of glue that together a little bit, just a little tiny touch of glue just to hold it in place. And you can put her where she's gonna go. Put a little glue on her and put her face on here. and then glue in the bangs. So I'm tucking it kind of behind her ear and going over her eyebrow like that. And it doesn't matter that it's a little odd on at the top there. It doesn't matter at all because, like I said, it's hair. And it'll all come together. And you can trim it. So now she's got a cute little hairstyle. And I can come up here to the top and do a little trimming, make it shaped better, whatever you need to do to make it look the way you want it to look. Like that. Super cute. And then when you glue it into place, when I put my doll down, I don't know if I mentioned before, I didn't glue the neck down because you're going to want to slip the hair behind the neck and then behind the head. So see how the neck goes behind her chin and the hair goes like that. And then you can just kind of figure out how you want the angle to be. That's pretty cute, just like that. So I'm going to glue her into place with a little bit of glue. And I'm going to glue her chin down. And I didn't glue her ear down because it looks more fun and dimensional to be a little bit turned. I can even kind of bend it a little bit, bend it a little forward so her ears come forward. Look how cute that is. That's pretty cute. And then you can take brush markers or pens or anything you want to add some more details to the hair. So I'm going to come in here and add some more details. I'm going to use some colored pencil on the hair. And then you've got paper pieced hair. Pretty cute. So I'm going to go ahead and do a face and hair for this girl and finish up this page and come back and show you my final completed page. And you want to take a colored pencil or pen and add color to her eyebrows that match her hair, because that will really make this look so much better, is when the eyebrows match the hair. See how that just frames in her face? It's coming along. What I did with this section is to just put a little bit of gesso and some navy blue paint, and then I glued in my sing, and then I'm kind of doodling around it. And here's the face that I did. I put some space buns on this girl, just paper pieced, and it's coming along. It's really getting cute. So I hope you're enjoying watching this, and I'll show you what it looks like after I do some more doodling. I did take a white Posca pen and made these squares white just to kind of section them off a little bit. I think that adds some character to the page. And then I'm going to do some doodling that looks like the frame around the text box. So here's my finished page. I'm not sure that I'm going to do anything else with it. I think I'm going to call this finished. I did some doodling that matches the border. I added a little piece of embroidery floss as the string tie on her bikini bottom and white embroidery floss for her shoelaces. Just tied them and glued them on. And I added some Nuvo drop pearls to the pearl chains that were on her dress and some three-dimensional flowers that have glitter in the middle. Just to jazz that up, I put some in her hair, and then she's got a milk bottle that says fresh milk. I love that. Super cute. So I hope you had fun. This was really fun to create, and maybe it gave you some ideas of trying finding a funky and fun body out of a fashion magazine and then creating your own face with paper pieced hair to go on top. And the hair, I mean, you can use cardstock like I did, which are natural hair colors, but it's endless. You could have bright pink hair. You could use pattern paper for hair and make it wild and crazy. So there's so many different things that you could do. But I hope you try making a face and adding some pieced hair to it and creating a page in your art journal. So thanks for stopping by and having fun with me and doing some art, because art soothes the heart.